we know that there were a lot of cons that we just mentioned, but there were some pros, and it's not to deter you because obviously we are still doing these storage units. We enjoy it a lot. We find a lot of really good items. We enjoy going through things, and we have an avenue to sell all this. We sell on Whatnot, we sell on eBay, a little bit on Facebook, and other but the majority it gives us the variety that we need to keep our buyers entertained and happy. And it works for us. We have an avenue to sell the majority of the stuff that we do find in storage units. So,
I mean, the cons definitely look like they overweigh the pros, but I still love doing this. It doesn't matter what the cons are. I really enjoy the idea of finding that next treasure. Like we found stuff from the 1600s that you wouldn't see anywhere else but a museum. So that aspect of this business is always going to be there.
You're not going to go to Walmart and find that.
Yeah, no, you do not know what's going to be in these units. So yes, it is a gamble, but you have to try to make it an educated gamble. Meaning that you got to look at the pictures and do your homework and really, it takes experience and time to know what you're buying.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good resources out there. I mean, not just our video, but a lot of other YouTube videos, Facebook groups. So I think the biggest thing that we could tell you if you want to get into this business is mitigating your risks, reducing your costs, definitely when you're starting out, to try it to see if you do like it. We know some people who just bought their first storage units.
Yeah.
And, how are you going to get rid of the garbage? Who's going to help you move the stuff? What if you find something really heavy? We found some really heavy stuff in units.
Press.
We had to move,
6 motorcycles?
Yeah. Oh my God.
6 motorcycles.
So, by ourselves.
And and it was not in our state, and I know nothing about motorcycles. I didn't even know how to get these damn things to go into gear. We had to drag them onto the trailer.
It was rough.
With 2 kids.
Yeah. So I think just, figuring out your costs. Like, don't have your first storage unit be a $5,000 unit.
Yeah. Start small.
Yeah. I mean, we've bought some great $10, $20 units. We've also bought some really bad $500 units.
Yeah.
So, figure out your costs. But like you said, then tack on your labor, your time, your gas. Storage. It costs money to store stuff.
Treat it like a business.
Yes. Treat it like a business. Do the costs. And then try it out and see if you like it. And just because... out of all the good units that we've had a few bad units. So you also can't assume that just because you had one bad unit that they're all going to be that way, but you also can't assume that you have one good unit and they're all going to be that too.
I went on a good streak where I haven't lost on a unit in a long time. This year, I lost on a unit, and I didn't think I was going to lose on this unit. So when you first start out, I guarantee you're going to lose on a few units because it takes experience. But it's just, you got to get your feet wet and just try it. Just only spend what you're willing to risk.
Yeah, like if you make nothing on the unit,
don't be upset.
Yeah, exactly. So you do that. But I hope we gave you a lot of new information. And if you have any questions or any comments, put them in the chat the comments down below, and we'll try to answer them.
Well, I'll answer them.
Okay, and Nick will answer.
Yeah, I do all the typing, so. Thank you guys. Well, check us out on Whatnot and eBay. I'll have the links below. You can see them.
Yep, yeah, and we'll have more Whatnot auctions coming up. So if you want to see the stuff that we do get from the cleanouts, that's what we sell. The majority of his stuff is from the cleanouts that we do. I didn't like that ending.
You can always adjust it later, or no, you want to do it now.
Maybe.
All right, just let's keep it going and see.
Okay.
All right, thank you guys for watching our video today. I hope there was some good insight for you. If you have any questions or comments, just put it below, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Also, if you want to check us out on Whatnot or eBay, our username is Old Time Deals, and we hope to hear from you. That sounds good.
That was good. Yeah, it is, but we can't do nothing. I'm not too windy. Because I knew what I was going to say. It was going to be really good.
All right, I won't interrupt.
Kind of already did. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the cons of buying storage units. I think it's important, I know we mentioned this before, that there are a lot of cons. It's not to deter you, it's just to know everything there is to know about buying storage units, especially since Nick and I have that experience. So I think the first one is getting rid of the unsellable stuff, the junk. And I say unsellable in the sense that you do find a lot of garbage. You get used mattresses, we've had some really bad stuff. We've had food, open food,
rodents,
pasta. Dirty diapers.
Yeah,
like
anything you think of, drugs,
yes.
Everything you can think of.
Yeah, so and it's not even that. You might find something that's somewhat decent, but you have to be able to sell it. We might find some placemats,
clothes,
pillowcases, but sometimes you just have nowhere to sell it. So you have to pay to dispose of it. So you either got to get a dumpster or
donate it.
So yeah, I mean, we try to donate a lot of the clothes because that doesn't cost us anything and it helps someone out. But some of the stuff is just not usable.
And then, like, when you donate stuff, sometimes they don't want it. Like, that's the issue. Like, it might be good stuff, but depending where you live, they don't want the donations. So, you have to go to the dump. I mean, either you go to the garbage dump, you have to recycle, or you have to get a dumpster on your property. You have to get rid of the garbage, and then that's the toughest part of the business, I think.
Okay. The other con is you have to take everything. So I know we mentioned that, like, you're gonna find stuff that you don't want in it, but in this business, it's they call it, you have to have everything broom swept. So you have to take everything out, and like they have dumpsters at the facilities, they don't let you use them. You have to take everything with you. So even if it's garbage or something gross, like we've had some really nasty units.
Yeah, but it's a con, but it's accepted. I mean, you're not gonna have all good stuff in a unit. But what I've learned to do was, like, I take all the good stuff out of unit first and then come back for the garbage. So what I'll do is I'll take all the stuff we want to keep, and then I'll come back with like my pickup in my trailer, load it up with the garbage, and go to the dump. I try to be most efficient with these cons. You know, like I try to make.
Well, I think it also depends where you win this unit too, because you don't want to have to make
Depends
two
how far
trips
it is,
just
yeah.
to right. And I think too, what was I saying? You have to take everything. So at the end, like Nick said, they give you your deposit back. So it has to be cleaned out to their satisfaction, because you don't want to get kicked off of wherever you bought the
Whatever
unit
website,
from.
yeah.
Exactly. They're going to say that you didn't take everything, or they didn't give you your deposit. So you know, you want to keep a good relationship with each of the facilities you go to.
And that's how, just to cut her off, but this always where you take a video or a picture of the unit that you cleaned out. You want proof that everything is broom swept. That's very important.
Okay, so con number 3, which I don't know, I guess it depends how you guys see it, but handling people's personal items. So you get these units, and it's because someone for quite a while didn't pay for their unit, or it could be someone that passed away. So you're handling a lot of like personal items that people thought was worth saving. So we found passports, driver's license, personal items. Yeah, and so what the facilities have to, they're supposed to, some might say no, but they legally have to take those items back. So when we go through, you know, sometimes we're just in a rush to empty the unit out, so we don't go through everything. Yeah. But if we find stuff, like we found passports, opened up safes, whatever it is, we put that all aside, photo albums, all the personal effects, and we leave it in a pile, and we leave it for the unit. And I don't know what they do on there, and they do try to get it back to the person or the family that owns it. So if you do find something on your own, like that you've taken home that you could take it back to the facility or mail it back to them. But at the end of the day, you know, you have to be the one to handle those items.
And once you buy that unit, you're responsible for all the merchandise inside of it. But how you dispose of it and what you do with it is on you. I recommend never contacting the previous owner of the unit. Always make sure you go through the stuff. Go through the facility. I mean, to get rid of the personal papers. I would not if you can't do that, just dispose of it in a way where no one else could get it. I do not recommend contacting anyone else but the facility.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think what it leads to is like they try to contact emotions, or they say, "Oh, I had this item in there? Can you get this back for me?" Like you don't know these people, they don't know you, and so like I said, unless you find something that you feel like is valuable, you could always give it to the facility and they'll get it back to the person.
Because it's tough because you feel bad sometimes going through people's stuff. You know, most of them are on hard times. That's why the unit is delinquent. And you want to do what's best. I mean, I know you're trying to make money, but at the same time, you want to, you know, if it was my passport or my social security card, I would want it back. You know, so it puts you in a tough place. But the best thing you can do is give it back to the facility or throw it out. Honestly, those are my suggestions.
Okay. The other thing, dealing with bugs and rodents.
Yeah.
Storage facilities, like people, they always tell them, don't save. Don't
no food.
No, but people do. Like even if it's sealed, like you know, they were in a rush.
I think
we did the dorm room one, and they had pasta, and like rodents will get into it. Like the last unit we did was not that it was dirty, and I don't think he had any food in it. It was just there was so much stuff, and you know it gets cold in the winter. It was an outside unit. The rodents go in. We found stink bugs. Mouse poop. So like bring gloves, bring garbage bags,
mask.
But you can't. I mean, you could just say, okay, I don't want it all of a sudden. But again, that's like, it puts a mark on your account with the facility. So you're going to come across that. If you're not interested in going through any dirty units
stuff,
or stuff, like this is not for you. Yeah. That is the biggest con for you. Just, don't even bother. Because you think, and you might think a unit's clean. You look at it, you're like, oh, this looks like a clean unit. You'd be surprised. Some of the units that we thought would be clean. It might not even
be from that unit.
That's true. Their neighbor could have all that stuff.
Rodents. I mean, you're not going to avoid it. If you're afraid about bringing bugs back into your home.
And we have our system. We have our system where we sort it outside in the tent, whatever it is.
It's a process.
Bomb it, but yes, like
and that is definitely a con. Is the process is it's long.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're not just taking the stuff and putting it in your house and selling it. You have to go through it and clean it and it's work.
Okay. let's go with this one.
What is that?
The short time frame to empty the unit.
When you another con about clean out units is you don't have much time. Most of the auctions companies allow 48 or 72 hours to clean out a unit. There's sort of a grace period if you start talking to the facilities. Like if they see you cleaning it out, they'll give you more time. But it's fast. It's fast paced. When we clean out units, it's fast. We're done within
Probably about like 3 days. Yeah, 2 to 3 days.
2 3 days.
And that's because they want to get the unit out and they want to start renting it.
And it
they
doesn't
can start
matter
making money.
what size it is. I mean, another way of going about this, if you don't think you're going to finish out the unit, is you can rent it out for the month. But you have to factor that into your cost of what you're paying the unit.
Right. And like Nick said, sometimes they will give you a grace period. Like we had this really
Nasty
packed unit. And they know at the end of the day, let's say we didn't finish cleaning it out in the 3 days and they didn't give us the extra time. And we haven't had it where they've given us the extra time and not charged us because now they got to relist it. They got to take the pictures, relist it, and put it out. And, you know, every time when people see something reposted, it usually goes for less money. And that's not really the biggest concern, but for them, it's the time.
Yeah. They want to get that. Their goal is to get that unit as fast as possible emptied so they can re-rent it out. So just as long as I'd say the main thing is if you just communicate with the manager of that facility.
Show you're making an effort.
Show you're making an effort and be nice to them. Sometimes you have to buy them lunch or like a donut or something. And just be nice. And usually I'd say 99% of the time they work with you. I think there's like once in a blue moon I'll have a grumpy manager that doesn't want to work with me. But overall, I've always had my time either extended or I was able to do it in the time frame that was given. Sometimes they rent me the unit for $1. It depends on the facility.
Yeah. Also, the other thing too is some storage facilities are not 24 hours.
Oh, that is an
right.
issue,
So that like they close the gate, they don't give you the code after like 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Right. So you can't get in. So you don't really have 3 full days.
Yeah.
You have days.
Business hours.
But, right.
You go through business, and then that's where you have to like try to squeeze a little more time out of them because it's like you win the unit at 7 p.m. at night, then you have up to like say you get the 1:00 p.m. pay for the unit, then you only have like a day left to clean out the unit. And if it's a 10 by 20 or a 10 by 30, it takes a lot more than a day sometimes to clean it out.
And I thought of another con that we don't have on our list. So with the 3 days, let's say you have really bad weather. You have an outside unit,
snow,
you have an open
rain.
trailer. Right. Like one time we had to shovel the walkway to get to the unit because ours was like an outside unit to shovel it ourselves to get to it because like we couldn't wait for them, you know, so we had to do that. So that also does play a factor into it.
And also offloading. Say you fill up your truck and your trailer. By the time you go back to your facility or wherever you store your stuff and offload it and then try to get back to the storage unit, it could be rush hour and you can't make it there in time. So that's what I mean. Logistically it's tough to get to these units sometimes, and you really have to communicate with the auction manager or facility of how you're gonna clean this out, or clean it out, or how or when you're gonna finish with it.
Okay, having a place to sell everything. You want to discuss that one or no?
Is that a con or?
I mean, no, not really. We kind of talked about it. Okay. The cost of transportation and labor.
Yeah, it's important. Yeah. Another con of buying storage units is it kind of goes with what we were just talking about with being efficient and getting the unit cleaned out in time. Is do you need to hire labor? The cost of transportation, do you need to rent a truck or do you have a trailer or do you have to buy a new vehicle for the business? I mean, it's very costly moving junk. I'm telling you that. It's very costly. We personally don't like to hire any help. That's
just a personal. It's not that we probably more be efficient in certain things. But like Nick said, okay, you paid $500 for unit. You didn't just spend $500. How much gas did you spend?
Yeah, gas.
You know, now you got to store the stuff.
If you rented a truck or trailer, like what did that cost? So like you really, before you even bid on a unit.
Disposal fees.
Yeah, before you even bid on a unit, you have to factor all these prices in and see if that fits your price point for this unit. So that $10 a box, you kind of have to, that rule I go by, you have to kind of include all this into it. And we do. I mean, it is, and sometimes we're wrong, but for the most part, we have to try to factor all that in.
Let me talk about that. Okay. Not knowing what you'll get. We kind of talked about that earlier. I don't know if we did a special thing. All right. Maybe finding drugs and weapons. Want to talk about that?
Yeah, we could talk about that.
Okay.
Another con of storage units is not just finding personal papers, but finding personal things like guns, drugs, and other illegal things. There's times where you have to contact the authorities. As much of a headache as it is, you have to put the thing, like we're in New Jersey where I can't transport a handgun. So if I have a handgun in the facility, I have to turn it in. It's not worth the risk for me. Drugs has to be, discarded. So you're gonna have to contact the authorities. If it's marijuana, you could throw it out, but it depends. Each state is different. So make sure you know your state laws. That is a con because you have to know this
Right
stuff
now,
before
like
you
they
get
said,
into
it becomes your property
Yep.
once you bought it.
Yeah, once you bought that unit, it's your property, and if you transport something that is illegal and get caught, you are going to be in big heat. It's not worth the unit. So make sure you know your rules before you before you start this business.
Okay, I think you did last time. All right, so Nick mentioned that with these online auctions, that you get to use your credit card, but a lot of facilities for the deposit, they mostly take cash.
Cash, yeah.
So it's not a big deal. They usually take about what, 100, 200? It's like
it's been going up. It's usually between $100 and $200 depending on the size of the unit.
Yeah, and they don't give it back to you till you clean out the unit. So if you don't have that cash available, or you need it back that same day, you have to make sure that you empty it out that same day before the office closes, because you might be done that same day, but they already close up.
I've recently run into issues where I haven't went back to collect my deposit because I'm just either
and they won't mail it
too
to
lazy.
you, right?
They won't mail it to you. They're too lazy, can't get there on time, or the facility is too far. So right now, I think there's 2 facilities that have $100 each from me, which I probably won't ever see.
All right, last one: corruption and storage facility tampering.
You want me to start? You?
Doesn't matter. The last con.
The last con that I could really think of is let's start over. The last con that we both could think of is probably the corruption, and I've seen it firsthand on storage unit websites where they take a picture and I can see from one picture the item is moved. So that means that someone in that facility, before they auctioned it off, went in there and moved the product or took something out. So there is a lot of corruption in these facilities, definitely the smaller ones. When you figure out, there are units that I've bought in the past that they were gone through before I bought it. So what I do is I mark off those facilities as places I won't go to again. And that's a big con because you're out money because they took the good stuff out of those units. To avoid this a little bit, I try to buy units that have a lot of merchandise, because if you're going to sift through a unit, it's not going to be a unit with 1,000 boxes. It's going to be a unit with 10 boxes that you could easily get in each of them. So, but it is definitely happening, and it's happening in a lot of facilities. So you really got to watch out and look at the pictures
Right,
closely.
if you see like an iPad in the front, right, an iPad, or
or the box open halfway,
right, and there's no proof to say that it was in there or not.
Yeah.
Unless you physically saw the item in the picture, right? There's
so
really
be
no
very
way.
careful when you're bidding online. Make sure you look at the pictures very, very closely. I guess we gotta do like a. Hey everyone, this is Nick and Monica from Old Time Deals, and today we're going to talk about the pros and cons of buying a storage unit.
So Nick and I have been doing this for probably about 20 years. The majority of the units that we do buy are online. We do a few in person, but the majority are online. So when you buy them online, you only see a few pictures of what's in each unit. So starting off with the first pro, we would say the price per item is significantly cheaper than if you were to buy items at thrift store, garage sale, flea markets, because we have our own, we know how much we want to spend per unit. We don't buy super expensive units. So let's say we buy a unit for $1,000, and there's maybe, I don't know, several hundred items.
We're paying a $1,000 unit. I would see like 100 boxes. I look at every box at $10. So that's how everyone has their own system. That's my system. $10 a box is what I'm going to pay for a unit.
Right.
Hoping that there's at least 10 items in each box, honestly.
Mm-hmm. And then so in that case, you can get you can get items for pennies, whereas you're not going to go to a Walmart or a retail store and buy that many units.
Even at retail
you're not going to buy items at pennies. So the profit margin on each one is significantly higher.
Yeah. And
you might find, sorry.
And we have tried it ourselves. We tried retail arbitrage. We tried using like Brickseek and other apps that like go chase product in Walmart, Target, you name it, any store, and seeing if it was worth doing that over doing storage units. And we came to the conclusion that I think storage units is the better deal.
Yeah, we find really good items, but like you said, you have to chase it. You have to make sure that the store has it in stock. You have to compete with other people because other people are doing the same thing. What you find in storage units can be very unique.
And I'm not saying that retail arbitrage is bad too. I think that's still another way in this business to bring other products in. So as a business, we combine all that into our business plan.
And another pro buying storage units is the variety of items that you get. You know, you can get a ton of household items, glassware, Christmas decorations. If you see our like last or one of our more recent videos of the most expensive unit that we bought, we paid about $5,500 for 2 big storage units, and we got anything and everything. We got collectibles, baseball cards, vinyl records, Barbie dolls, like everything that you would find at a thrift store.
It's like, a dream.
Yes, that was probably one of our best units. I mean, we haven't even gone through all the stuff. We just literally moved it from that unit to our unit.
I don't know if it's going to be our most profitable unit, but the idea that we have something for everyone is what I like about that unit. That in our business, we do a lot of online selling, and being able to please everyone that's going to see our items, whether it's in a Whatnot platform or an eBay platform, is important to us. So I like have idea that we could draw everyone in by having so many different items, whether it's new, old. You know, that's what I like about it.
Yeah, and then also we bought units where we knew it was just mostly sneakers.
One item, yeah, or just simple things like paper bags. You see my paper bag unit up there. I bought a whole unit of paper bags, and that was a great deal per product. Did I end up selling them? No, I'm gonna use them for packing, but the unit was worth a lot of money if I wanted to sell them.
Yeah, and then also the other thing too is like, okay, so you see what you're probably getting in the unit. We've had people who have said that they bought a unit because they saw sneaker boxes, and then there was nothing. We bought a unit.
Yeah, I bought a unit.
We didn't spend as much because we knew there was a possibility that they weren't in there. We were hoping they were in there.
They weren't in there,
right?
And to cut you off, what was funny is I bought another unit in that facility that I had no clue had shoes in it, and it had a ton of pairs of shoes in the boxes. So it was like you never know what you're gonna get in a unit.
Right, because you're not gonna see all the way in the back. You're just gonna see what's in the front or what could be seen in the picture. So for us, like even in the one unit, it went even further back than we thought. Like you might find gold, jewelry, watches, like really valuable stuff. Because people like when they get units sometimes, even though they know it's like theirs, they still hide stuff in it, right? They put stuff in the back. They'll have laptops. We found like PS5s before, PS4s,
money,
older ones, but
coins.
Nothing insane, but definitely like you find that stuff in there, stuff that you don't see.
Yeah. What's the next pro? Let's see.
Fun treasure hunt.
Oh,
that's one of yours. I think you should talk.
All right, so it's fact number 3.
It doesn't. You don't have to say the number.
All right, another fun fact. Another pro of storage unit auctions is probably the treasure hunt. That's why I feel it. I like to gamble. I'm a gambler. This is more of my sure bet. If I go to the casino, I'm gonna lose money. But in the storage unit atmosphere, I am not gonna lose money. It's I'm just gonna find
still a possibility.
Not that. Once in a blue moon we lose money, but it's not. It's nothing.
It's a calculated risk. I would say the odds are definitely better.
We remember the story, and it's a good story. So to me, it's not losing money. But I like finding the treasures and finding stuff. We did some really unique units. We did some that looked like it was going to be all garbage, and it was all treasures. Like you really don't know what's going to be in each unit. You can take a guess, an educated guess by what you see in the pictures if you're doing an online auction, but you really don't know until you start digging. And I love that feeling. Every single time I open that garage door from the unit. I open it up with a smile and I expect the best.
Okay. We kind of did these. We did all these. Buying online saves time.
Oh yeah, I can talk about that. I like that.
Okay.
Another pro of buying storage units now is you could buy them online, which is great if you have a family and you have another life, where in this business you always have another life because you have to sell the merchandise. So I could buy units no matter where I am, instead of wasting my whole entire day going to a live unit and waiting for it to be auctioned off and not come home with anything depending on the facility. Or sometimes you go there and they have 2 units left. They say there's 100 units. By the time you get there's 2 units to bid on, and there's 30, 40 people bidding on 2 units. So being able to buy units online is an important factor in this business, I feel. I have the experience of buying units in person for many years. So for me to transform into buying units online was not much of an issue. But as a new auction buyer, it might be difficult to get an idea of like what's in each picture. Like I can see a picture, I'm like a detective, and tell you good idea what the unit's going to be about. I'm not always right, but for the most part, I have a good idea what I'm buying. What else you got to say about that? Anything?
No, I mean, I think maybe it might be important to mention any of the cons of buying a unit in person.
Cons in person. The cons in person.
Well, like you said, you have to drive there. You have to wait.
Yeah,
sometimes they cancel the auction. You get there and the person paid for their unit, which is a good thing for them. But then, like you said, there's less units to bid on. I think the other thing too is when you're in person.
It could you you get caught up and you might bid too much if you're in person.
The excitement of being, seeing people, right?
You don't have that time to think. Whereas at least on the computer, I could go back like, oh, I see this picture of this mannequin. It has this name on it. I could go on eBay or on Google and look up to see what it's worth. So I could do more of an educated bid online. Whereas in person, it's more of like, I think this unit's worth this, and I'm gonna bid.
And I think also they try to like intimidate you. When
Yeah,
you're in
they
person
do. Definitely,
too.
depending on the place. I mean, we used to have like rings of people. Like they would all bid you up, knowing that you're a new buyer.
Scare you off.
Yeah, scare you off, and they'll bid the price up, and you end up with nothing. So it depends where you're located, how the auction's arranged, who's running the auction. Whereas online, it's the same platform every time. But there are cons to that, and we will get into that later on in this video. I don't know how you're gonna cut all this, but
You said you were gonna do it.
yeah, I'll do it.
All right. The last pro is paying with a credit card, and if you take cash only.
Well, another pro about buying units online is that a lot of them now accept credit card. So there's a few pros to that because, first of all, you don't have to lay out the money. Sometimes you buy expensive unit, you don't have to run to the bank. Sometimes that bank don't have the money to give you to buy the unit, so the credit card is great. The other thing is also the deposits a credit card. So when the deposit's credit card, after I clean out the unit, say at 8 p.m. at night, I don't have to go back the next day to collect my $100 or $200, which is great. Definitely if it's a faraway unit. When you pay a credit card and the deposit's paid by credit card, once you're done, you unlock it, you leave it open, take a picture with the number on it for your records, just in case something comes up, and you're gone. You don't have to be back in that facility. So yeah, I think the new system of paying with the credit card is great in these units and saves you a lot of time.
But I think also it's important to mention that there are some auctions that we've done where they only take cash.
Yeah, it's like
So less people are likely to bid on those because people don't have that liquidity.
Yeah.
So I think it is always important for us, like in case that once in a lifetime unit comes up or something really good, where you're gonna have
You have to
better
pay
odds,
cash,
of winning to have that. So.
Or another thing is sometimes you could buy a unit that is a higher limit than what your credit card could be. Like some of these units go for $10, $20, $30,000, which obviously you might not be able to put on your credit card. You need cash. Hey, this is Nick and Monica from Old Time Deals. Today we're going to talk about the pros and cons of buying storage units.